along with 4 high schools that were all outside the city. Now, the city secondary schools in those boards begin next week. Now, with students slowly heading back now for another school year, Ottawa Public Health providing additional nurses. Here's 1310's Alex Gouge.
Nurses from Ottawa Public Health have established a COVID-19 support system team in preparation for the return. Marino Francis Pele is the manager for school and community health for OPH. He tells 1310 News what the team consists of.
There are going to be 45 nurses in that team who are going to be designated to each school, all 294 schools in the system in Ottawa, as well as supporting private schools and post-secondary in addition to that as well.
Nurses will serve as liaisons and be on hand to answer questions and help ensure things are set up as needed. The nurses will be available both virtually and in class. Meanwhile, Francis Pele adds in the event of a case of COVID-19, a school nurse will be assigned to conduct contact management. For the full story, head over to ottawamatters.com. Alex Gouge, 1310 News.
1310 News time at 10:03. Now the forecast with 1310 News meteorologist Jill Taylor.
A lovely day for us for the most part. Sun and clouds. Still muggy though. The guaranteed high 25 will feel like 30. A southwest wind to about 25 kilometers per hour. For tonight, a few showers late this evening. Then we'll clear overnight. 13 for the low. And tomorrow, mainly sunny, cooler, 22. For today, the guaranteed high 25.
And right now in Ottawa, it's 17 degrees. Many Canadians receiving the CERB have taken to Twitter complaining there's a delay receiving the final $2,000 check under that program. The emergency response benefit is trending on Twitter as people say they need to pay rent or buy groceries. In a statement to 1310 News, the Canada Revenue Agency says it wants to assure everyone they will receive their money that they're entitled to. It notes a CERB is issued within 3 to 5 business days of the application via direct deposit and within 10 business days by check. It notes a vast majority of payments will stick to the timeline. It is the final payment of the CERB before Canadians out of work are switched to Modified Employment Insurance Program or a new recovery benefit. Canada's merchandise trade deficit, $2.45 billion in July. Both imports and exports continued to post strong gains, though, but remain below pre-pandemic levels.
July's result compares with an updated deficit figure of $1.59 billion for June. Statistics Canada says the motor vehicles and parts product category helped boost both imports and exports for the month. Imports for July rose 12.7% to $47.9 billion, as imports of motor vehicles and parts increased 50.3%, while exports rose 11.1% to $45.4 billion, as exports of motor vehicles and parts increased 37%. Don Kelly, The Canadian Press.
And breaking news from the NBA, Hall of Fame guard Steve Nash has signed on to become the next coach of the Nets. According to ESPN, the Canadian played 18 seasons in the NBA, was MVP when playing for the Suns, as well as an 8-time NBA All-Star. He has signed a 4-year contract with Brooklyn. I'm Andrew Boyle, 1310 News. For news anytime, follow up online at ottawamatters.com.
It's your time to talk back on the Rob Snow Show. Have your say at 613-750-1310.
Mr. Trudeau says he has an ambitious green agenda. That's in the news today. Ambitious green agenda. An ambitious green agenda. My question for you during the talk bag hour is, are you willing to pay more of your money to finance it? Are you willing to pay more money to fight climate change? 750-1310, 750-1310, 750-1310. Area code 613-750-1310. We have every single phone line available right now. I would put it to you that I don't think there's much public appetite to be ambitiously green right now. That's just my own sense of it. Even if it comes with just a modest increase in the cost of living. And in fact, I don't even think it's borne out by the public opinion research that people are just ready to embrace all things green and clean and willing to depart with more of their hard-earned money. I mean, Canadians have been asked, they've been surveyed many times by the leading Canadian polling firms. Would you be willing to pay more to fight climate change And there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. We say, we want to do our part to fight climate change. We're committed to the fight against climate change. And then you ask them the second question, are you willing to pay XYZ? When you take it out of the abstract and put it into reality that, okay, 20 cents more a liter on gasoline, well, then there's a disconnect. Because then the answer that comes back is no. Actually, I'm not. And honestly, just politically, I'm not sure this is really wise. It could be a miscalculation politically by the Liberals. If they think an ambitious green agenda would work for them, say, in an election. I don't know if there's really widespread political support for this. Not right now. Especially in so-called vote-rich or seat-rich Ontario, where not all that long ago, we tossed out a Liberal government, the Wynne government, convincingly booted it out of office. After years of being force-fed an ambitious green agenda. Here's what Canadians say when it comes to fighting climate change and what they're really willing to pay to fight climate change. They have been telling pollsters for years, yes, I'm worried about climate change. It's not a climate change denier. Yes, I think we should be doing something about it. But not if I have to pay for it. But not if I have to pay for it. Not if it means higher prices for me or higher taxes for me. No, thank you. I am maxed out as it is. There's already too much month left at the end of the money for me. So that's why I say I'm really not convinced that this is necessarily a winning pitch from the Trudeau Liberals' ambitious green agenda. I think a lot of Canadians right now, after the last 6 months, they would just like to go back to the Canada of, 7 months ago. People are looking at the Canada of 7 months ago, and they're saying, oh, those were the good old days. When I could go to work, when my kids could go to school, when my 21-year-old had a part-time job and go to school, and now is just collecting the CERB, when I could pay my mortgage or pay my rent without too much worry, when I could take the bus without too much worry, when I could visit my mom or dad in a long-term care home without too much worry. I think a lot of Canadians, if they're anything like me, I think I'm just an ordinary fella, okay? You look back to 7 months ago, you're like, oh man, those were the good old days. I'm not too sure a lot of Canadians are really in the mood to embrace another big green dream right now. I mean, even Greta is back in school. And it's borne out by the public opinion research, okay? When it comes to this issue, and I doubt attitudes have changed all that much. If anything, I think the issue of fighting climate change has probably fallen down the ladder of list of priorities and things to worry about right now. After everything that we've all been through together. But 750-1310, 750, or I'll get carried away, I'll talk for the entire hour. 750-1310, 613, I almost did that yesterday. David gave me heck for that yesterday. Holy cow, you can talk, he said. 750-1310. Mr. Trudeau says he has an ambitious green agenda. This is according to a report in Global News. An ambitious green agenda. Are you willing to pay for it? Are you willing to pay more to fight climate change? Through higher debt, higher taxes, higher prices. How do you answer that question? The Liberals, I assume, think the answer is going to be yes. Cindy in Orleans. Good morning, Cindy. You're on 1310 News.
Hi.
Hi, Cindy.
Yes, I would pay more.
You would pay more.
to support more green jobs.
Okay. How much more?
I think that it needs to be done. I think it can be
Okay.
done in a way that we support the industries to create green jobs, and then it will eventually pay for itself because you'll have more people employed.
Really? What about the people in industries that would suffer because of this shift to the green agenda?
How you put your green agenda in Alberta so that you can relocate the unemployed into the new employment.
You would relocate them.
I'd not relocate them, but I would give them alternative jobs.
Right.
Well, continue
You would
to
transition them. This was
Yeah.
part of Elizabeth May's election platform and the election platform of the Green Party last year. Yeah, okay. You're bringing up, okay. I think that's going to be the minority opinion. Let's transition those workers and pay more for the green agenda. Let's take David's call. David's in the West End. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Rob.
Morning, David.
My God, communism's on its way. Holy, Rob.
Yes.
How many times do we have to go through this?
How many times?
Yeah,
well, at least one more time, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, and it'll be one more after this, I would imagine. You know, I've said...
So let me ask you this question. Mr. Trudeau says he has an ambitious green agenda. Are you willing to pay for it?
Not a dime.
Not a dime.
As a matter of fact, not a nickel.
Not even a nickel. Are you saying like one nickel for everything or just a nickel a liter?
Nickel a liter. You know, Rob, I've said this before. I'm on the 15th floor of an apartment facing east. Okay?
All right.
Ottawa is a green carpet.
It's very green, yes.
Don't see one house. I see the Parliament building sticking
Yes.
up. I see the river, the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a beautiful view, sir.
Oh my God, it's a penthouse. But Ottawa, now when the leaves drop, I start to see houses here and there. And what about our new transportation system? What are they going to do? I mean, is green a windmill? Come on! Oh my goodness!
All right. Okay.
Oh, it's getting. What would you call it?
So you're not on board the big green train.
No. As we said before many times, the world needs to be cleaned up.
Yes.
The ocean needs to be cleaned up. There was a thing last night on TV, a bunch of kids out there cleaning the
sewage in our rivers, these kinds of things.
Exactly.
Right? Our landfills, all kinds of things.
Yeah, the landfill. There's another topic for you.
Yeah.
I had a hockey team in Sweden many years ago, and one of our tourist attractions for the team was a furnace downtown that burned garbage.
Right. Trip to the incinerator.
And Rob, it did not have a smokestack.
Right. I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yes, and that's many. Isn't there one in Brampton even?
Well, there's a new incinerator in Durham. Yeah, about 3 hours from here.
So these guys, Trudeau, you know, he's doing everything and anything he can.
Well, maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
No,
but he says he has an ambitious green agenda. Do you think that includes pipelines? Do you think it includes the oil sands?
No.
Okay. Offshore oil in Newfoundland, these kinds of things.
And it doesn't include my vote.
All right. Okay. Thank you, David. Thank you for your call. We're right back. Question for you in this. It's been a long time since we've had a hot debate over climate change. We've had two calls, both from opposite ends of the spectrum. Trudeau told Global News yesterday, ambitious green agenda. I have an ambitious green agenda. Are you willing to pay for it? 750-1310 on the Rob Snow Show, Rogers TV and 1310 News.
Rogers, you can always expect more. Like during the Savings and More event, save $1,181 on Samsung Galaxy S25G over 24 months with upfront edge and financing when you return your phone in 2 years. That means more memories captured with single take, more streaming on superior processing speeds, and more accessories you want, all in one place for $0 down. Get all this and more for a limited time at Rogers during the Savings and More event.
Coming soon to the Import Car Center lot, the vehicle of your dreams. Import has
The best buyer in the business and the best network for buying vehicles. Imports quality standards are the highest in the industry. If a pure black Subaru WRX is what you're looking for, they'll find it. A fully loaded white Lexus with low mileage, they'll find it too.
With our auto-locate capabilities, vehicles can't hide from us. Import Car Center, 880 Maryville Road, and online at importcarcenter.com.
It's time for your Frequency Podcast Flash. Every day we bring you a little bit of the Big Story Podcast to spark your interest. You never know what topics we're going to cover, but we can always guarantee a good conversation. Here's a sample of what you'll hear.
I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
Somehow, it is what it is has gone from a sports cliche to brushing off 8,000 deaths a day, but kept the same emotion behind it. Pitcher just didn't have his best stuff. Goalie let in a softie. We couldn't hit a 3. We mismanaged a national response to a global pandemic. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm Jordan Heath Rawlings. This is The Big Story. Miles Klee is a writer for Mel Magazine who dug into the long history of this phrase. Hi, Miles.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, you know, it is what it is.
Sorry to hear it.
Do you remember the first time that you encountered that phrase in the wild?
So I was thinking about this, and I don't think I really do remember it. I am betting that it was in the context of a post-game sports conference, like a press conference after a game. I don't really remember at all, to be honest. It just seems like something that's always been out there.
Yeah, and I would say that that's probably a safe bet. Some annoyed coach that's annoyed he even has to explain himself.
You know what? I'm not a huge sports person myself, but it always seems funny to me that they drag the coach in there after a big loss, and they're kind of like haggling him about it.
So in your mind, before you began looking into it and writing this piece, what did the phrase mean?
To hear the rest of the Big Story Podcast, check out thebigstorypodcast.ca or follow them on Twitter at TheBigStoryFPN.
Talk back on The Rob Snow Show. The phone lines are open at 613-750-1310.
Mr. Trudeau told Global News in an interview yesterday, he's doing a series of interviews. He did 3 yesterday, he's doing 4 today, that he has an ambitious green agenda, that's what's in the works when Parliament resumes after its prorogation. An ambitious green agenda. Sounds expensive. Are you willing to pay for it? Are you willing to pay more money to fight climate change? Are you willing to pay more money to fight climate change? I think Canadians, kind of like the Liberals, we talk a good game. We say we want to fight climate change, and then pollsters say, this is what it would cost. Are you willing to pay this? And then public opinion shifts. For example, Ipsos did a survey a little more than a year ago, I believe this came out. 75% of respondents to an Ipsos survey surveyed more than 2,000 people. It was just before the last election. 75% of Canadians said we need to do more to address climate change. 75%, right? 75%. But then 60% expressed concern that climate change solutions would cause